I'm going to continue my commentary now on Prophet and Teacher. And we only made it a couple of pages before I had to cut it off. But now we're going to go ahead into the next set of pages where they talk about Herod the Great and Herod Antipas. And you need to know the difference between these two guys. Alright? So, that'd be the first thing I'd research. And then, urbanization. What is urbanization? That's when a lot of people in a lot of rural communities suddenly migrate to one centralized location and they make a basic metropolis. Now, before you say, well, gee, the town of Sepphoris and the town of Tiberias, they don't look like metropolises. Yeah, they do. They just don't have skyscrapers. That's the difference. Okay? So, you can have a metropolis without skyscrapers, basically. Alright? Now, Tiberias was a town named after a Roman officer. And you need to look that up so you know who Tiberius was. Okay? What is anachronistic? They bring that up. Well, it's considered a chronological inconsistency. This would be sort of like if you were doing research on the Middle Ages and all of a sudden you found people starting to use typewriters. Okay? Now, typewriters officially hadn't been invented for hundreds of years later. But if you find evidence all of a sudden of typewriters being used before they were supposed to have been invented, that's a chronological inconsistency. And it has to be researched. Okay? That would be like finding a farm tractor in an old Jewish village that was laid to ruins a long time ago. You suddenly go, well, how in the heck do they have a farm tractor when farm tractors hadn't been invented yet? There you go. Eschatology, I would imagine that's how it's pronounced. Eschatology is basically the study of the end times. Okay, so when you run the word eschatology, you're running into the end times. Basically, this is a full study of the end times. You know this is going to be a study because of the word logi, which is the study of. Anytime you see the ending logi, you know that that is the study of something. Okay. Commensality. What is commensality? Well, they describe it as fellowship. This would be a reference to, say, an entire family coming together around the dinner table for dinner. That kind of thing. You can have church fellowship where you have an entire church body come together and they sit together for a fellowship. That's where they get that. Okay? Egalitarianism. What the heck is egalitarianism? There's a big word. Okay, what egalitarianism is when they are talking about equal status. Have you ever heard the phrase of equal pay for equal work? That's what they're talking about. It's equating all the social statuses of people. Okay? So, in other words, I have the same rights you do, you have the same rights I do, we both follow the same laws, we're treated as basically equals. Okay? Some people believe we should all earn the same income. That goes well into what we call socialism. But that's kind of the general format of what this means. Okay? What is cognizant? Cognizant. Well, this is where you are fully informed. Okay? When they had the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, we were not cognizant to what was going on until a few hours after the whole event happened. The reason for that is because we didn't have all the details. And even now they're still getting more details. So we couldn't claim to be cognizant of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting until hours and even days after the shooting was over with. Now, what is dialogical? Well, first of all, you have to go back to the root word of dialogue. What is a dialogue? Well, that is a literal conversation between two people. And what these people do is they'll actually write down the conversation. Okay, so it's a written form of a conversation that happened between two people. Whether it be a debate or just a simple conversation, doesn't matter. Now, dialogical is something that is characterized by a dialect. It's the actual written part of the dialogue. Okay. Now, what is a dialectual? Okay. This is a logical discussion of ideas. Okay. So, people present a few ideas to you, and you have a logical discussion of those ideas. That's where that comes from. And once you know all of this vocabulary, then the first 4 or 5 pages of this book actually start to make sense. And you can finally read it in the proper context. Alright, if you have any comments or questions or whatever, you can leave them down here in the comments below. I will tell you more in a future video. Stay tuned.